Dark suburban street, flashing police lights, slow heartbeat sound. It started with a single clue, so small no one thought it mattered. A quiet neighborhood, a normal family, and a disappearance that made no sense. But one mistake changed everything. Because sometimes the truth isn't hidden, it's ignored. And by the end of this story, you'll understand how one tiny detail exposed a lie so big, it destroyed everything. On the morning of August 13, 2018, in Frederick, Colorado, a man stood on his driveway speaking calmly to a local news reporter. His name was Chris Watts. His pregnant wife, Shanann Watts, and their two young daughters, Bella Watts and Celeste Watts, had been reported missing just hours earlier. He looked directly into the camera, his voice steady, almost too steady, asking for their safe return. He said he just wanted his family back. He said he had no idea where they were, and for a moment, many people believed him. But what no one realized at the time was that the truth was already beginning to surface, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone to notice the one detail that didn't fit. Before we go deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. To understand how everything fell apart, you have to go back to the life they appeared to have. Chris and Shanann Watts seemed like a typical American family. They lived in a quiet neighborhood, shared moments online, and raised their daughters in what looked like a loving home. Shanann was active on social media, often posting videos of their daily lives, their laughter, their routines, their plans for the future. To outsiders, it looked stable, even happy. Chris was known as quiet, reserved, and easygoing. He worked in the oil industry and kept mostly to himself. Nothing about him suggested the kind of story that would soon unfold. But behind the smiles and short clips of everyday life, there were tensions that few people fully understood. Financial pressures, personal struggles, and a growing emotional distance began to form cracks beneath the surface. In the weeks leading up to that August morning, small changes started to appear. Chris seemed more distant. Shanann, who was pregnant with their third child, confided in friends that something felt off. Text messages revealed concern, confusion, and a sense that her marriage was shifting in a way she couldn't fully explain. Still, nothing pointed to what would happen next. On the night of August 12th, Shanann returned home from a business trip. It was late, and security footage would later confirm the exact time she walked through the front door. That moment, captured quietly on camera, would become one of the most important pieces of the entire case, because after that, no one outside that house would ever see her again. By the next morning, alarm bells started ringing. Shanann missed appointments. She wasn't answering calls. For someone so active and connected, the silence was unusual. A close friend grew concerned and went to the house. When there was no response, the police were called. Within hours, officers arrived and the investigation began. Chris returned home and spoke with them, appearing cooperative, answering questions, allowing them inside. At first glance, nothing seemed out of place, but then came the detail that would slowly change everything. A neighbor mentioned a surveillance camera. It faced directly toward Chris's driveway, and what it captured would soon raise questions no one could ignore. As investigators reviewed the footage, they saw Chris backing his truck into the driveway in the early hours of the morning. He said he was loading tools for work. He said it was a normal routine. But something about the way he moved, the timing, the quietness of it all, didn't quite match the situation he described. It was subtle, easy to overlook, but it was there, and that was the beginning of the clue. One small moment, one small inconsistency, that would slowly unravel a story built on appearances. Because the more they looked, the more things didn't add up. And the closer they got to the truth, the clearer it became that this wasn't a disappearance at all. It was something far more serious. As the investigation continued, Chris remained in the spotlight, giving interviews, repeating the same message, asking for his family to come back. But each time he spoke, each time he tried to explain, the gap between his words and the evidence grew wider. Detectives began to focus more closely. They re-examined timelines, digital records, and movements. And then came the mistake, the one moment where everything shifted. During questioning, small inconsistencies in his story began to surface. Details didn't line up. Emotions didn't match the situation, and when confronted with the evidence, the calm exterior started to crack. What followed would shock not just the investigators, but the entire country. Because in the end, it wasn't a large piece of evidence that exposed the truth. It wasn't something obvious or dramatic. It was a combination of small details, one after another, leading back to the same place. A single clue, a single mistake, and a truth that could no longer stay hidden.